So, I've been playing World of Warcraft. I think people knew this video was coming. This video is coming to the channel no matter what. I want to upload a video just going through what I've managed to achieve on World of Warcraft across the playtime that I display on the screen. A quick disclaimer, I play games that I enjoy and I have a passion about. I make videos about things that I'm passionate about and enjoy. I will be relating this to a RuneScape audience because I know the majority of my subscriber base are, well, every single subscriber plays RuneScape or has played RuneScape in the past, so this video is directed at a RuneScape target audience, and it's just sharing with you guys my experience of World of Warcraft. And I'm going to take you through, what I did to max out my character on World of Warcraft, the time that it took. I'm going to try my best to wrap up everything that I did to reach the end game content, going through around 40 hours worth of gameplay and condensing that into a video less than 15 minutes. Playing a new game, it really did feel nice leveling up. You got that sense of satisfaction of leveling up on a different game that you've never played before. It actually felt nice to level up. A bit like when a new skill comes out in RuneScape and you've never experienced it before, like Invention, and you enjoy the rush of that expansion to the game, and you're leveling up as fast as you can, finding out what the methods are, and there's this huge community passion and rush, amongst everybody. And that's what I felt when I played WoW to level up. And that's what everyone's going to feel like within the World of Warcraft community when the Legion expansion comes out, which is another reason why I decided to give this game a go in case I liked it in preparation for that, and also because of all the hype which is building up around the gaming industry right now around this expansion. So first off, you choose the server that you want to play in, EU or US. For me, it's EU. You then want to choose between an Alliance character or a Horde character. The majority of my mates who persuaded me to give this game a go are Horde, hence why I chose Horde. I went where my mates are. It's like when you buy a console, between a PS4 and an Xbox One. You usually go where your friends are, where the community is, and where you're going to have a laugh. The race that I chose was an orc. The first class that I chose was a warrior, and I wanted to go in as a tank. Essentially, there are three different types of classes roles within the game: a tank, a healer, and a damage dealer. After choosing my first character and calling it Urgent Justice, I then transitioned into the starting area for the orc race within World of Warcraft. I then did all of the starter quests. After completing the main quest line for the orc race, I then partied up with a friend of mine. We did not use refer a friend. If you're going to play this game, use refer a friend. I think as long as you're in the same party when you're doing quests, when you're doing dungeons, you'll get 300% bonus experience throughout like an entire month. So you'll max out a character in no time. It's ridiculous. But we didn't do the refer a friend, and I did level up, as if you're leveling up with any bonuses at the beginning anyway. So we ran dungeons until I got to level 40, and dungeons essentially on World of Warcraft, you can go through a dungeon finder, or you can actually go to the area of in the world itself. You go and start this dungeon with a party of 5. If you're in a party of 2, you will then matchmake with another random 3 players. I went in as a tank. You then have a healer, and you have 3 damage dealers. The idea is just to go through this dungeon fighting loads of different mobs, fighting various different bosses throughout the dungeon as well, and completing quests whilst you're within the dungeon. Most of these quests are either fetch or kill orientated, so essentially you're picking up items off monsters that you've killed, or you're literally just killing bosses, and that ticks off the list. With this being a new experience for me, the earlier dungeons were actually quite enjoyable, and I just kept on enjoying the game more and more as you expanded into dungeons that had more mechanics, which had bosses that actually had mechanics as well, rather than just damage dealing to get through it. The biggest thing I liked about playing as an orc warrior tank is the mobility in terms of being able to charge into your enemies, aggro all of your enemies very quickly, and actually, there's a jump attack where you can leap into the fray and then aggro all of the enemies around you. And that's the idea of being a tank on this game. You want to aggro as many enemies onto you as possible, so the damage dealers and the healers aren't taking any damage. The healer will then heal me up whilst I'm also using, my own damage negating abilities. But after getting to level 40 warrior, I decided, right, I'm enjoying this game. I'm going to pay £10 to actually unlock the game, which also comes with all previous 5 expansions. So I then decided to make a Death Knight, also known as a DK. I created this, and this starts at level 55. So essentially I skipped out from level 40 to 55 completely, created a new character as an orc DK class, again as a tank, and concentrated on the blood spec, which is the tank spec. Lots of similarities here to RuneScape in the ancient spellbook, with blood blood spells where you actually use different abilities to heal yourself and keep your health up, stealing health from your targets to retain your health. I completed the Lich King Death Knight starting area, which was very interesting. The majority of it was just basically blowing up loads of peasants. And then obviously, if you've got friends who can help you out, then that's a complete bonus. I had a guy called Sinj who was the one who persuaded me to give this game a go. He traded me enough gold to be able to afford Heirloom Gear. This gear scales up with your level up until level 100, which is the max. Unlike RuneScape, where you're having to change your armor throughout, you know, as you level up, this armor literally stays with you all the way, and it scales with you. If you don't have the luxury of having Heirloom Gear or being able to afford it at first, then of course when you do dungeons, you'll then just pick up the armor drops and the pieces from the monsters that you kill and just keep scaling up that way instead. I then used the Legion invasions. So there are world events happening right now in World of Warcraft in the run up to the Legion expansion, where essentially there's huge demons that are dropping from the skies. There's 4 different stages within this world event. You have to go through each stage as a community, fight the bosses until the end, and in each stage you gain a lump sum of experience. You also gain experience from killing the bosses involved. Now, this was crazy, and it was being patched for balancing reasons throughout a 2-week period that I was carrying these tasks out. At first, you could literally AFK and just be in the area. And you could literally fly into the area. By the way, there's lots of flying on this game. You could fly into the area, mounts 2K17 RuneScape, by the way, but you could fly in and you could just AFK in the stage. You didn't have to do anything, you'd get XP. It was kind of ridiculous. They then nerfed the XP of all invasions, but added 3 instead of 2 for every 4 hours, and you could no longer just be within the stage and AFK because you wouldn't get as much experience. A few days later, they nerfed the overall stage completion, and that was to counter any people who were AFKing, but then increased the XP that you'd gain from actually partaking in the takedown of bosses. So if you actively, participated in actually killing the bosses, then you'd get more experience. This I like. As the Legion expansion drew nearer, the frequency at which this invasions were happening increased in 2 main areas, Kalimdor and the Eastern Lands. And the feeling that I personally, had from completing these invasions was just incredible. Like, you're there fighting these bosses that were actually, pretty fun when you understood the mechanics. When I first went there, I didn't have any idea what the heck was going on. It was a complete clusterfuck. You've got hundreds of people there just fighting these monsters, and there's like insta-kill attacks coming out. There's like AoE abilities, like crazy skybox animation effects, loads of particles. I mean, if you like particles, flipping out, it was ridiculous. Lots of people. But luckily I had a friend called HeavyDK, and he's just an absolute pro at this game. He was actually explaining the mechanics of these bosses, and through understanding those mechanics, we were able to enjoy it a lot more. I was able to tank some of them as well. But you really got the sense of you're playing, you're really playing an MMO RPG here. There's hundreds of people with one goal to get as much experience as possible and to take them down as quick as possible. And you had that joint objective that you were, completing with, 100 plus people who were there at any one time. Anyway, on top of doing the invasions, I was then running dungeons again. The highest DG that I could run each time, rinsing, repeat those. And like I said earlier, a DG essentially going through fighting mobs and bosses with different quest lines, different environments, very dynamic, and again, loads of different mechanics involved within that. We then used a trick, or not really a trick, I don't know how well known this method is amongst the WoW community. Again, it was HeavyDK who, communicated this method to me. There's a place called Gorgrond, and this is in the Draenor expansion part of World of Warcraft. Gorgrond. And essentially, there's loads of different bonus quests that you can complete within one area, all very close to each other. And the idea is you complete up to a certain point, up to the very last step of each bonus quest. So you stack up 8 of them, and then you fly around completing each one while drinking a 300% XP boost potion that cost me 14,000 gold, which again, I was traded by HeavyDK. 14,000 gold. When talking to him, if you're a very good player on World of Warcraft, you can get that in an hour. Heavy can get around 20k an hour if he runs HFC mythic raid runs for people to get the mounts, for example, and things like that. You can earn a lot of money from that on the game. Essentially, the leeching service, which RuneScape has for like Virago hard mode and different things like that. So we did that area, and I actually managed to reach, I'll show it on screen. I think I went from like 91 to like 99, or something like that. It was crazy experience, and that was with a 300% XP boost potion. We drank it as we completed the first bonus quest, and then just flew around, finishing off the remaining 7. Once I completed that, I just went and did one more Legion invasion and managed to reach the max level of 100 on my very first character, a DK, as a tank with the blood spec. Now, we didn't just do the Legion invasions for experience, we also did it to obtain chests, and once looted, it would give us gear that would scale to our level, which in this case is level 100. So, over the duration of doing all of these different Legion invasions, you know, on different various days, at different levels, I saved all of these chests within my bank, and then looted them all once I was level 100, because I'd have a higher chance of getting some decent gear. With this gear, I'd then upscale my eye level, and once you're maxed out on this game, it's all about your eye level, your gear, and that determines, you know, how good you are from then onwards. And it can take a long time from 700 eye level to 740, for example. There's so many different slots that you can fill up within your gear setup that it can take a long time, and, you know, grinding through different raids and mythic dungeons. And, you know, with that comes lockouts, for example, on certain difficulties of raids, in terms of how many times you can loot per week. So that should be on the screen right now, me just looting through those chests. I had a good amount of chests. I also used a resource called nether shards to buy 4 more pieces of armor and upgrade my weapon to then reach 660 eye level. And then from completing my first raid and a mythic DG, I was then able to push up to around 710 eye level, I think I am now. And again, with raids and stuff, you know, the community feels fantastic in terms of, you know, trading gear. You've got like a really, you know, you've got a real group consensus of, you know, if there's a drop, a specific item that someone doesn't need because they've already got that at a certain eye level, they will then trade you the item, because it's like, hey dude, you need this item more than me, so I'm gonna let you have it. And, you know, the next raid that we go on as a group, you're going to be a higher eye level, you're going to be able to do more for the team, and there's a real team effort and a team feeling within this game that is also supported through the idea of having a guild bank. And a guild is equivalent to a clan on RuneScape. You can actually have a bank where everybody can tap into it, everybody can put stuff into that bank as a clan, and other people can use the items within that. It's a really cool idea. How that would, whether that would work in RuneScape, it potentially could, but there'd have to be a lot of whitelisted items on there, because there's a lot of different requirements to reach certain items on RuneScape. So there'd have to be like a white list of items on there, maybe some additional requirements, but it'd be really interesting, a really interesting concept to have a bank where, you know, it supports a community of people. I then had my first raid experience of the Hellfire Citadel, which is the most recent expansion, part of the Draenor expansion. I then also completed my very first mythic dungeons in order to obtain a trinket, and this trinket I will use with the Legion expansion to help me level up. If you've got mates who are saying, come on mate, come and try out WoW, go and give it a go, have a laugh. I also do believe that World of Warcraft is definitely a very social game, in the aspect of, you know, you benefit a lot more if you're in a group doing things like quests, DGs, and raids, more so than if you go in solo, go with random people, and things like that. So yeah, all in all, really enjoyed the experience of playing this game, and probably going to pre-purchase Legion and play it alongside RuneScape and the other games that I play. Overall, I enjoy this game. I think it's a really fun game. Very difficult to understand at first, like any MMO RPG, and it's kind of inspired me to make some more videos linked to RuneScape, little things that, you know, as a new player you're going to struggle to understand, or as a player trying to get into PVM more, you're going to struggle to understand. And I want to make smaller videos like that, where a lot of my sub base will already know these things, but also a lot of people might not, and it's about understanding that and me sharing those things that I take for granted. I'm going to wrap this video up here now, just taking it down a notch. Just realized how fast I was speaking to cram everything into that video. I really appreciate every single person who's watched through this video. Thanks for taking the time out to do that. I've spent a good amount of time collecting this gameplay and editing. Playtime, I've just checked on my battle.net and on both characters. Across both of them, it's 1 day and 16 hours now. So yeah, that's the end of today's video. Again, I just wanted to upload something, you know, because of all the game time that I actually played on this, I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. I thought it was an interesting topic, an RS player going out, playing a different MMORPG, trying to get a different perspective on things, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on, you know, other MMORPGs. What other MMOs have you played? Are you looking forward to Legion? Do you play WoW as well as RuneScape? If not, why? Have you wanted to try it? What stopped you? Just anything in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.